One of the biggest killers that keeps you from scaling your business is a lack of vision. Now, we hear this from many people, but I wanted to give you guys some tools that I have learned over the years to help me with dialing in my vision of how I see my life to where I can live by design. So in this video, I wanted to go over 3 very simple things that we can do to dial in our vision to where we get what we want out of life, but also not necessarily but also not run down the wrong road. How to help you make decisions in the workplace that is in line with your vision, and how to make sure that maybe you're not being deceived and maybe you're chasing something that you don't want. Some of us operate our day-to-day and we don't have any form of outline to the decisions we're making. So essentially we're navigating our business and our daily actions without any form of GPS or direction of where we're headed. And essentially what that does is it leads to poor decision making, which keeps us from reaching our goals. So the first thing that I suggest that will help you greatly with creating a vision for yourself and your business is very simple. Go visit more businesses and other vehicle wrap shops that you would like to aspire to, and see if that's really something that you want. There were many people, so I spent all my time in my shop, and I never left my business to go out and adventure. I didn't go to other trade shows within the workplace, etc., and I know a lot of people do. However, go to these individual shops that you look up to and maybe spend a day there. See how they operate. There was a couple of people that I highly look up to that are incredibly talented people, but I quickly realized how they were operating and how they were building their business was not for me, and that it was completely out of alignment to what I ever would want to build my company to be. And that's totally fine because they were building their business to what they believed they wanted it. And so I certainly feel like this is the quickest hack to like, yep, I like that. No, I don't like this. I like that, etc., to where you can kind of build an outline of like the things that you desire and don't want. And the one thing I do suggest the most is to essentially go visit other industry. And one of the biggest types of businesses that I suggest to go actually see is something completely different to our industry. And I noticed that other industries were operating on a completely different level than we were. And what made it to where we couldn't in the vehicle wrap space operate the same? It just didn't make sense to me. We definitely have some nuances that allow our industry to have a little more friction, if you will, than others. However, it doesn't make us some special snowflake that we just can't grow and scale our businesses and live our to the point where we could actually build out our dreams and desires and provide impact in the workplace for our employees. That's just an excuse. So it's 1000% possible, and there are people doing it right now today. You just need to open your eyes to exactly what that is. So the fastest way to see what you like and dislike is 1000% to go to these places and see what you like and dislike. And by the way, I literally mean to write this out on paper. Like, you need to write it down so you can see it to where it's an actual tangible object and you can rock and roll from there. Another thing that you can do to help with defining the vision and really what you want is spend more time where you're not distracted. And what I mean by that, I would distract myself every single day by relentlessly grinding away. I would go to work every day at 7 a.m. I wouldn't even take lunch. All of my staff at the time had a credit card of mine, and I would they knew my order wherever they went. I didn't even place my own order for food because I needed that extra 30 minutes to squeak out 30 more minutes worth of work. And so because of that, I never took the time to really fabricate what I was grinding away for. Instead, I just became a drone or a robot and just grinded away every single day, and hoorah, I am working harder than everybody else, and I was. But I was also working for no reason. Like, there was literally no point to what I was after. And so I was making poor decisions. I was hiring the wrong people. Maybe I wasn't hiring fast enough. I was not marketing. I was not selling. I was just doing a lot of stupid stuff. Really, like, when you look back at it, it is stupid because there was literally zero intention behind what I was doing. Therefore, all these things I thought I wanted ended up never never happening, or B, they weren't really what I was going after. It's just what I put there because I didn't want to do the work on fabricating an actual vision of how I wanted to live my life, how I envisioned my business being and the type of people that worked within it. So one of the biggest recommendations that I recommend for anybody is just start doing some personal fitness. By far, the biggest thing that's helped me with my vision is personal fitness. The second thing could be a hobby. So for myself, it was long distance running. Even while I was huge, 300 pounds, I would get out and do 2-3 hours on a Saturday. This includes walking. And on that 2 to 3 hours by yourself, no music, no nothing, you legitimately will go to the core of your soul and figure out whatever it is that you desire. I promise you, you'll be so bored that you don't have a choice but to. And there's been times where I've been heavily impacted by those moments, because I'll have a huge aha moment of how to solve a problem or what we really need, not what I thought was a solution to the symptom in my business, etc. And it's just because I gave myself enough time to decompress and ponder truly what it was versus just a quick, that's the answer. I would figure out a solution to a problem that was truly a solution, or was maybe a lot less emotional of a response, because I took the time to really digest the issue. The same goes to the vision. Like, when you spend that much time by yourself, no music, no distraction, nothing, and you just literally kind of almost talk to yourself, you'll question and debate yourself whether that's really what you say that you want $1 million shop, but do you really want all the problems that come with it? You might be completely content and happy with a 3-man shop, a father-son duo plus one person, and that truly makes you happy. You may be doing it for all the wrong reasons. Maybe you're doing it for the gram, where you're comparing yourself to other people and you're trying to buy hexagon lights and all these other things that don't make you money. And while they're really nice, like, you're copying somebody else and droning about mindlessly about how you're building your business as well. Spend more time by yourself and audit what you really want, because at the end of the day, that's the only thing that matters. You can copy other people, you can run the gameplay that everybody else does. You can just try to grow for the sake of growth and be incredibly unhappy. Once you become good with yourself and your identity of exactly what you are going after, then all decisions that are based around that, it doesn't matter. You're unmovable, and the language changes. And I don't remember who I heard the story from. I believe it was Justin Prince. He's a motivational speaker, and he's done very well for himself outside of that. But he told a story about 2 kids. And essentially, one of the 2 kids is stolen from a cookie jar. The parent had asked the kid, "Hey, did you take a cookie out of the cookie jar?" And he said, "No, I wouldn't take a cookie out of the cookie jar." And when the parent asked the second kid, "Hey, did you take the cookie out of the cookie jar?" the kid's response was, "I don't steal." Like, it wasn't even a relative doubt within the kid's mind that he would never do something like that. And that's just because it was a sense of identity. And your vision can do the same thing for you and your business, to where I don't care what you think about how I'm running my business. This makes me happy and this fulfills me. This is my mission in life, and that's the only thing that matters. That's important. One of my consulting customers, he goes out and fishes on Friday. He used to work every single day, and he wants to he basically told me, "I want what you have, where you operate to where you're not even in your shop." And I said, the only way to do that is to actually leave the shop, because when you leave the shop, it's going to give you the clues that you need to fix in order to actually make that happen. So now, for the most part, he tries to go fishing once a week and completely remove himself from the business. And that's his time to ponder and think about how to grow his business, how he wants to grow the business. And the final thing, this is a fantastic tool. Like, this is probably the best tool I have heard on vision, period. I basically formatted this from Kent Clothier. He's a big real estate monster. Like, I'm pretty sure he might even be a billionaire at this point. Like, the guy runs a serious real estate firm. He had an experience where he nearly died, and he, just like all of us, was relentlessly grinding away. He's still a human being, or at the time, he was worth a lot of money, but he was flying standard commercial airline. And so one day, he told us a story that he was on a plane, and they just took off. And at the time, doing very well in his business, but he was still being kind of cheap. He was putting all of his money in the business. And what I mean by kind of cheap was he didn't pay for upgraded seats to where him and his family could sit together. This guy's worth millions at this point, but he didn't pay for seats where they could sit together. Whenever the plane was not quite leveled off, it was still in ascent, a plume of smoke came down the lane, like the central alley. He couldn't even look back because of like all the pressure and like the issues that was going on. But he said that the only thing he could hear was this little girl screaming, "Daddy, Daddy," and essentially he couldn't do anything to help his family. And he vowed from that day to never ever make a decision that wasn't in alignment to what he really wanted in life. And so what he designed was his perfect day. Vowed basically that he would not fly commercial ever again. So he would rather invest that money into family time to where he could at least hold his kids if that ever happened again, helpless in a situation just because he wanted to save a few dollars and invest it back into it. And at that point, now money no longer rules him because it's just a game to fund what he really wants, which is his perfect day. You write out your perfect day and you literally draft out what every detail, what things smell like, how you feel, etc. on a perfect day. So it would include something along the lines of you wake up in the morning, you go to the refrigerator, you get your drink, whatever it may be. And then from there, you stretch and you start your coffee. And then you're headed to work. So essentially, driving to work and you're listening to your favorite song because it gets you hyped or whatever it may be. Maybe there's some nostalgia behind it. You get into work, the first thing you do is what? And then throughout the day, what does that look like? Maybe you take a lunch break and you go take your wife out to a lunch date instead of grinding through and sending one of your guys off to buy your lunch. The point is to fabricate your day by design. And it doesn't mean that you're there yet, but what does a perfect day look for you? Because that's what we all should be striving for. You know, we're all trying to make money and we're trying to do all these things, but what's the point? I can tell you for a fact that making a lot of money will not fill the hole of making you happy. You have to be happy first. Design your perfect day and then wrap your vision for your business around it. And I promise you, you'll be a whole lot more fulfilled in your day-to-day because you know that you are working towards something that is bigger and greater than you could ever have imagined. And that is exactly why I do weird things like I'm living across the whole world right now and operating a business because I decided I didn't want to be geographically grounded by my business anymore. I want the freedom to do whatever I want travel-wise. I want the freedom to be able to go yesterday and run in Puerto Vallarta free game for my 100-mile run in 2 months from now. I couldn't do that if I was bound by my business. And so I started slowly working my way into it. So I think I literally took something along the lines of 1 week off, 2 weeks off a month later, then 3 weeks off, then 4 weeks off. And I audited my business to see where the problems were. And I kept working on that. The bigger point of this is to test. Like once you actually build out this GPS system, you need to benchmark and audit your business so that you can figure out what needs to be solved. But at the same time, I was out on a run with a good friend of mine who has really greatly helped me in my life. And I was like, yeah, I think I want to move internationally in the next year. And he said, why don't you just move tomorrow? And I was like, what do you mean by that? He goes, all the problems that you're going to experience with moving, if that's really your goal, aren't going to reveal themselves until you do it. So if you say, I want to button up all these things over the next year and then I'm going to move, he basically said that I'm not buttoning up the problems of the move. I'm buttoning up everything else. And so, all right, let's try it out. Let's see. And guess what? The team actually performed better than I could ever have imagined. And I would have possibly wasted an entire year trying to solve for things that didn't matter towards my goal. That didn't mean that I didn't have things to fix within the workplace. It didn't mean that there were other things that were going on. But my goal was to live internationally, but I didn't have any kind of plan of how to audit that. I challenge you guys to take the time, work out what your vision is for your business. What does your perfect day look like? How are you going to get there? And that is some of the biggest advice my mentor ever gave me on day one of operating it. What do you want out of life? What does that look like? How are you going to get there? I couldn't answer that question back then. Like I legitimately couldn't. And it's because I never spent enough time with myself to truly try to answer that question. So these tools in this video might actually help you with what do you want, what does that look like, and how will you get there. So thank you so much. Please like, share, and comment below any troubles that you're dealing with your business. I'm happy to help you. There's a link to where you can book a 30-minute call with me. And I just put you on some free game based on your situation. Thank you so much for watching these videos. It means a lot to us. We're going to keep pushing these out. We got a lot of big things coming towards the end of the year. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.